understandable English podcast.
Learn English the easy way.
I had a complete psychological meltdown in my kitchen on Thursday, Jessica. It was exactly 1:15 in the afternoon. The sun was shining through the window, hitting the counter, and I was standing there with a knife in my hand, putting mayonnaise on a piece of whole wheat bread. And suddenly, it just hit me. I froze. I looked down at the turkey, the cheese, and the lettuce, and my brain completely spiraled. I realized I have eaten the exact same turkey sandwich at exactly 1:15 p.m. for 400 days in a row. 400 days.
Well, that sounds less like a psychological meltdown and more like a very stable lunch schedule. Welcome to the Understandable English podcast, everyone, where Bryan discovers that he is, in fact, an adult who buys groceries.
No, Jessica, you don't understand the gravity of the situation. It wasn't just about the food. It was this terrifying realization that my life has become this completely automated machine. I wake up, I drink the same coffee from the same blue mug, I sit at the same desk, I make the same sandwich, and I watch the same television show at night. I felt like I was trapped on a giant hamster wheel. I just stood there in the kitchen, staring at the turkey slice, thinking, is this it? Is this the rest of my life until I retire? It felt like a total prison of routine.
It sounds like you had a classic mini existential crisis over cold cuts. But honestly, if you're listening to us right now, please leave a comment below if you have ever had a moment like this. Have you ever looked at your daily schedule and suddenly felt like you were living the exact same day on repeat? Click that like button and write your story in the comments because it helps us practice real English, and it will prove to Jessica that the fear of being boring is a very real, universal human emotion.
Exactly. Please back me up in the comments, guys, because Jessica is just sitting there looking at me with her classic judgy face. But seriously, it really scared me. When we are kids, every single year feels completely different. You change schools, you grow 5 inches, you make new friends, you discover entirely new hobbies. There is so much built-in novelty. But then you become an adult, you get a stable job, and suddenly the days just start bleeding into each other. You look at the calendar and realize it's June, but you feel like you just celebrated New Year's Eve yesterday. That is a terrifying feeling.
I understand the fear, Bryan. It can feel like your life is just slipping past you while you are busy making lunch. But it's interesting because your reaction to that sandwich is the exact opposite of mine. I actually find a beautiful comfort in predictability. I love knowing exactly what my Tuesday is going to look like. In fact, I also eat a very similar lunch every single day, a simple hummus and cucumber wrap, and when 1:15 p.m. comes around, I don't feel like a prisoner. I feel safe. The world outside is incredibly chaotic and unpredictable, so having a boring sandwich is my little anchor of peace.
An anchor of peace? It sounds more like a lack of imagination. How do you not get incredibly bored? I looked at my sandwich on Thursday and I genuinely felt like I was losing my identity. I started thinking about all the versions of myself that I am not exploring because I am too busy repeating the same day. Am I becoming a robot? Am I just a ghost repeating actions in an empty house?
You are definitely not a robot, Bryan, because robots don't complain this much about turkey. But I think you are missing the value of stability. Routine frees up your brain power, because I don't have to waste energy deciding what to eat, what time to eat it, or where to sit. My mind is completely relaxed. I can use that mental energy for creative projects or deep thoughts. But I do recognize that the brain can feel stuck if you don't feed it any new information. That's why I started my own little system a few years ago. I call it my safe novelty rule.
Safe novelty? That sounds like a contradiction. Novelty is supposed to be wild and unexpected, like booking a flight to a random country at midnight. How can novelty be safe?
Well, your version of novelty usually involves a lot of shouting and credit card debt. My version is much more manageable. Every single Tuesday, I make a conscious decision to change just one tiny thing in my routine. Just one. For example, last Tuesday, instead of walking down my usual street to go to the grocery store, I took the back alleyway behind the old library. It added about 4 minutes to my walk, but I saw a beautiful old garden I had never noticed before, and I watched 2 blue jays fighting over a piece of bread.
Huh. So you didn't change your whole life, you just changed the path to the milk aisle.
Exactly. And the Tuesday before that, instead of listening to my usual acoustic folk playlist while I cleaned the apartment, I forced myself to listen to a genre of music I know absolutely nothing about, Japanese city pop from the 1980s. It was incredibly upbeat and strange, and it completely changed the energy of my afternoon. I found myself doing a little dance while wiping down the bathroom mirror. It's about seeking safe novelty, small, low-risk changes that wake up your brain without ruining your sense of stability.
Wow, that actually sounds incredibly elegant. So you don't have to break the hamster wheel, you just have to paint one of the bars a different color.
Exactly. It keeps you from feeling like you are trapped in a prison of routine, but it doesn't give you the anxiety of total chaos. You see, adult life is naturally repetitive because we need structure to survive and pay our bills. Responsibility requires repetition, but we can choose how we navigate that repetition. You don't need to quit your job and move to an island just because you're tired of turkey. You just need to put a different mustard on the sandwich, or eat it in a local park instead of standing over your kitchen counter.
I think that is a really beautiful way to look at it, Jessica. I think my problem is that I am so socially impulsive and emotionally reactive that when I notice a pattern, I immediately want to burn the whole thing down. I see the repetition and I think, this is a failure. I am boring. But really, the routine is just the background canvas of life, and I have the power to paint small new details on it whenever I want.
Precisely. The fear of being boring is usually just a sign that you are neglecting your curiosity. Your brain is telling you that it wants a new input. It doesn't mean your life is bad. It just means it's time to change your Tuesday route or listen to a new podcast.
Like the Understandable English podcast, which, by the way, is an excellent routine to keep every week. Our listeners should definitely keep that habit, but maybe listen to it while sitting in a different chair today for some of that safe novelty.
That is a very clever transition, Bryan, and I agree. Consistency is wonderful for language learning. This discussion about the hamster wheel of adult life and managing our routines is a perfect bridge into our language focus for today. We naturally used some really great phrases during our conversation that are incredibly common in spoken English.
Oh, we definitely did. Let's talk about the language because I used a phrase right at the beginning that perfectly described my sudden panic. I said that when I looked at that sandwich, my brain completely spiraled.
Yes, to start spiraling or your brain completely spiraled. This is an excellent conversational phrase that we use when our thoughts quickly become negative, anxious, and out of control. It's like a visual image of a spiral staircase going down into a dark basement. One small thought like, I eat the same food, suddenly turns into, my entire life is a meaningless failure. Your mind moves downward very fast.
That was exactly my brain on Thursday. Down, down, down into the sandwich despair. And because of that, I felt like I was completely trapped on a giant hamster wheel.
A hamster wheel, or to feel like you're on a hamster wheel. This is a classic metaphor used in English to describe a repetitive, boring routine that takes a lot of your energy but never actually moves you forward in life. Just like a little pet hamster running inside a plastic wheel for hours but staying in the exact same spot, you feel like you're working incredibly hard every day but your life isn't actually changing or progressing.
It is the ultimate symbol of office life and adult repetition. And when you are stuck on that wheel, it can start to feel like a total prison of routine.
A prison of routine. We use this expression when a daily habit or schedule, which is supposed to help you, starts to feel like it is taking away your freedom and creativity. Instead of feeling comfortable and organized, you feel locked up and restricted by your own rules and predictable environments.
It really does feel like a cell sometimes. But you don't feel that way because you told me that your daily wrap isn't a prison. It is actually your little anchor of peace.
An anchor of peace, or an anchor in a storm. An anchor is a very heavy metal object that boats drop into the ocean floor to stop the ship from moving or floating away in the wind. In regular conversation, an anchor of peace describes a simple habit, a physical object, or a routine that keeps your mind calm, steady, and secure when the rest of your life or the world around you feels crazy and unpredictable.
I definitely need to find myself a better anchor. Maybe a nice spicy tuna wrap. And finally, your brilliant solution to the whole problem was your rule about seeking safe novelty.
To seek safe novelty. To seek means to actively look for something. Novelty means the quality of being new, fresh, or interesting. So, seeking safe novelty means intentionally introducing small, low-risk changes into your daily life, like trying a new food, listening to a new song, or walking a different path, just to keep your brain active and excited without causing any real stress or disruption to your life.
I am officially obsessed with that concept. Tomorrow is Tuesday, and I promise you, Jessica, I am going to seek some major safe novelty. I am going to walk to the grocery store backward.
Please don't do that, Bryan. You will trip over a fire hydrant, and that moves from safe novelty into a medical emergency.
Fine, no backward walking. But I will buy a different type of cheese for the sandwich. That feels like a solid adult compromise. Thank you so much for listening to the Understandable English podcast today, everyone. We hope these phrases help you talk about your own routines and life lessons.
Yes, thank you for sharing your time with us. Don't be afraid of your routines, but don't let them become a prison either. Have a wonderful, creative, and slightly unpredictable week. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, guys. See you in the next one. My brain completely spiraled on the hamster wheel today because I felt stuck in a prison of routine, so I decided to seek safe novelty by finding a new anchor of peace.
Bryan, that was beautiful, but you are still eating a turkey sandwich.